spreading the news.
We interrupt our program to bring you this important message.
New York, I love you. I love New York.
Trying to get open, fires away. Bang! It's over! The Bulls win at the buzzer! Iguodala to Curry, back to Iguodala, up for the layup. Oh, blocked by James! LeBron James with the rejection. Puts up the three. Won't go. Rebound box. Back out to Allen. His three-pointer. Bang!
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Off the Ball podcast with me, your host, Chris LeBron, and we got some breaking news in the world of the National Basketball Association. Jaren Jackson Jr., the multi-time All-Star forward for the Memphis Grizzlies, is now a member of the Utah Jazz. And as we're talking, there was just a trade announced before involving the Detroit Pistons. But let's talk about the Jaren Jackson Jr. news. He has been dealt to the Utah Jazz, and in this trade, along with Jaren Jackson, is John Konchar, Jock, Landale, and Vince Williams going to Utah with him for Walter Clayton Jr., who was the Jazz first-round pick, national champion from Florida, Kyle Anderson, Slow-Mo, Taylor Hendricks, who was their first-round pick a few years back, guy I liked a lot, and George Niang, and 3 future first-round picks are going in this trade, according to Shams Charania of ESPN. So major news in the world of the National Basketball Association. Jaren Jackson Jr. traded to Utah. I see some people on X talking about, why wasn't Lauri Markkanen in the deal, and stuff, and I'm just thinking that Memphis is finally realizing that the way their team's currently constructed is just not working, and the inevitable John Morant trade feels like it's on the horizon. Obviously, they traded for Desmond Bane earlier in the offseason, in the offseason to Orlando for multiple first round picks. They got I think they're just trying to gather as many picks as possible and try to rebuild this thing. They got some good pieces too. There's some young guys too. So, they got some good building blocks, but obviously a major trade in the National Basketball Association. Jaren Jackson Jr. Is off to the Utah Jazz. And I'm just curious for Utah, what exactly is the play here? Why make this move? This is a very, very, drastic move. If you're the Utah Jazz, who are a team that's, in the sweepstakes for, to get a very high pick, right now, currently constructed, they're sitting at 15-35, and they are the third, tied for the third worst record in the NBA, only behind Sacramento, Pelicans, Pacers, Wizards. And I'm on TikTok also. So Ivy to the Bulls. I'm going to talk about that too, because that's also a big trade. But I just wanted to talk about Jaren Jackson Jr. Being dealt, because that was the first big time. And it was crazy. We haven't seen a lot of trades, since the offseason, where a lot of people expected a lot of I'm confused on what Minnesota got back. Yeah, and I'm going to get into that right now, Truth. I'm just wanted to get because that literally, as I was going live, I got the news about that that big time trade. So in that deal, and we'll talk about that too. Chicago, Minnesota, it's a 3-team trade that sends Jaden Ivey and Mike Conley to the Chicago Bulls. Kevin Huerter, Dario Saric, who was just traded there, to the Pistons. Detroit also receives a 2026 first-round protected swap. Grizzlies got a bag of chips. Yeah, Grizzlies definitely got a bag of chips, Derek Jeter. It's been that's interesting. It's interesting that what the Grizzlies got back in return on that trade, because that doesn't and I know of a few Grizzlies people who cover the team and just seeing on their like, why didn't we get Laurie back in return? And the only was, hey, we had to get out of this contract, Jaren Jackson Jr. contract. That just has to be one of the biggest things, is they got out of that contract. And I just think they think that this current construction team just is not working. So if I was Memphis, I would have at least tried to get Ace Bailey. I mean, I'm sure they tried. Truth. I'm going to listen. A lot of these GMs, they shoot for the moon, and then obviously you make your way down, and be below realistic. But I'm sure, of course, I feel confident that they probably were like, can we get Ace? Obviously, if I'm Utah, they're not going to trade him. Well, they just took him. Obviously they traded Walter Clayton, their other first-round pick. A time traveler from 2045. I think the Knicks should not make any big moves. They've won 6 straight, so that's very, I understand that sentiment, but it's all predicated on what they feel is the ceiling of this team. If they think the ceiling is just an Eastern Conference bid, then I can see them trying. But the Giannis thing, and a few days ago I did a podcast and I was like, I think he'll be a Knick, maybe not now, but maybe in the offseason. But now I'm like, I don't know. I don't know if that's the case anymore. And that was a quick turnaround on my thought process with that. But nobody for Knicks got the day off today. They beat the Nuggets again, right? Tomorrow. I hope they do, because it's my birthday tomorrow. So I hope we get the birthday dub. Let it ride. Remember the Melo trade? We hindered that entire rust. Yeah, I think that's the sentiment. I think the sentiment with them is like, okay, we can go all in, but does that hinder our roster? Do we have to give up, OG, McHale, Deuce, all these guys? That's a lot. And also, I just don't think they have the draft capital that Milwaukee want. But Jaren Jackson Jr. was averaging 19 points a game, 5.8 rebounds, close to assists, shoot 47% from the field. He's a really good player. Obviously, he's a defensive player of the year. Previously, a few years back, I know people get on him for his rebound. Keontae George Glazer, who do you think won? Who do I think won the trade? I mean, it's all predicated on what do you think Memphis is going to be like. I obviously think they're going to start rebuilding. I wouldn't be surprised if Ja's next. So you get a bunch of picks. I mean, they got a bunch of picks this offseason for Desmond Bane. Now you get some more picks. You're assuming if you trade Ja, which is probably the next domino effect, he's probably going to get you something. Maybe not as much as what you got now. But I don't think it was about getting player acquisitions, like getting a big time, getting Laurie Marketing retire. I think it was like, hey, let's get rid of this contract. You get a punch, you get some good young player, you get a good young player and in this. So maybe that's just the thought process, and like, hey, let's just rebuild this baby. And I that's what I'm thinking. The thought process for Memphis is that they're just like, hey, we're just gonna try this thing and just rebuild. And Walter Clayton's a nice young player. I don't know the contracts on these other guys. Taylor Hendricks is a interesting young prospect too. He's dealt with injuries. He's a excuse me, got a little cough. Yo, Lo, what up, my guy? If you want to come up, let me know, bro. Just talk. I'm also on YouTube right now. If you want to go on YouTube Off the Ball Podcast, I'm live on YouTube right now too. I'm just sad we gave Walter Clayton because he had percentage. Yeah, but they had a lot of guards, and he's gonna get lost in there. Obviously, they're gonna get a top pick, so that's not too much of a big loss, with this year's draft coming up, not a bad idea to just tank. Yeah, I think that's the case if you're Memphis. I'm going to see, where is Memphis right now in the standings? I got to check. But Memphis is sitting right now at 19-28, 19-29. And they're 3 games out of the play-in. So this is to me is a move like, hey, we're thinking about the future. We're not worried about what's going on. We're not going to try to make a playoff bid. So I think that's what the case is. I think they weren't trying to get better. They're not trying to win. It's clearly a sign that it's the end of an era. Curtis. Mike Conley to the Bulls. He's going. That's the other trade, because that trade literally just happened right after the Jaren Jackson deal. I'm gonna read. So Chicago, if you haven't known, the Bulls to the Bulls for who? All right, so the three-team trade. Jaden Ivey, Mike Conley go to the Bulls. Kevin Huerter, Darius Saric go to the Pistons. And Detroit also gets a 26 first-round protected swap from Minnesota. The Memphis Grizzlies have 13 first-round picks. Yeah, I think they're rebuilding, man. Yeah, Ivy got traded. I thought Ivy would be a piece for Detroit that you would try to get a big-time wing, another scorer. I always knew the Ivy fit was not ideal for Detroit. And then once he got hurt last year, he just never been the same since he got hurt. So we're trying to I thought he'd be used in to try to get a bigger piece, big time wing, but I think he's extension eligible, and they weren't gonna give him an extension, so it just made way to trade him. Kevin Huerter's a shooter too, so they need shooting. I mean, he's more of a player who plays better on ball. Yeah, no, I'm with you. No, I haven't shaved. Yeah, no, you're right. It's been a tough night. I'm battling a cold, but I wanted to talk about this trade. Thanks. This guy's probably from Canada's loser right here. Is TJ McConnell available in trade talks? Not that I've heard. I haven't heard anything about TJ McConnell. I think they're obviously they're having a tough year. No Hallie. They're just gonna obviously battle for to get the top pick and then be in running back next year. I don't think McConnell's gonna be available. So I think Jaw's gone. I don't think you're gonna get what you got for Jaren Jackson or Bane. I think you might get a first. But I think he's gone. I think they're going to go all in on trying to get a top 3 pick. Minnesota. That's the interesting thing of Ja. Where do you put, where does he go? Minnesota obviously needs a point guard now. If they've needed a point guard and a guy who can, they have guys. They just don't have the guy. Is Ja that guy? Is that fit? Is Miami a better suit for him? I don't know. It's tough because obviously his play has not been the same as it was just a few years back, where they were a top 2 seed. They were, people were talking about them being the future. With all the picks they had and the good young players, and that's just no longer the case anymore. I'm very curious which players will suddenly be unavailable tonight. Yeah, that's going to be interesting to see that. John Morant to the Pelicans. I don't know. That's one thing you don't know in the NBA. Did anyone think Jaren Jackson in Utah was a thing? You never know. You really don't know. So, Knicks -14. I don't know who. Knicks -14. What, the spread? Off against the Wizards. They're playing good ball right now, so that's not a bad. That's not, and they're playing Washington. So those big double digit odds are I never like it, but I might have to rock with that. Hell no, Pell's giving that rock to yeah, and that's the thing. I wouldn't mess with Jeremiah with Fears' game. Let him rock out. So I wouldn't personally do that for the Pelicans, and the Pelicans, those big spreads. Yeah, those big spreads, they scared me, bro. I don't like big spreads. Even if it's like it feels good, like the Knicks are playing good basketball, it's the Wizards, but you never know. But yeah, a lot of action today in the NBA. A lot of action. A lot of action going on. Some couple trades, and I think this might be the domino effect. Is this the domino effect? Because it's been kind of quiet. Obviously it's been quiet since Trae Young got traded. So maybe this is the domino effect of where we see a lot of things happen. And obviously there's a big one. I thought he liked LA. I've been actually doing better in hockey. It's crazy. I actually do all right in hockey, and I could probably name like 3 hockey players. That James Harden thing came from nowhere. Yeah, the James Harden stuff is another one we're hearing. That they were trying to facilitate a trade. Is it Garland for Harden trade? And if I'm Cleveland, I don't know, man. They're in a situation, Cleveland, where if they make the wrong move, it can really affect them in the long term, and they're going to end up in a bad situation. So I don't know if they can do that. How a Harden, Donovan Mitchell backcourt. I mean, it's dynamic. You're going to get, you have Harden, who's a tremendous playmaker, but man, defensively, I know they have Jared out and Mobley, but having 2 guys who are defensive savvy, I don't know. I don't know if I would do that. Apparently, they hit up the Hawks and Wolves, but both teams said no, thank you. Who? And what trade you talking about? The James Harden? Oh, the James Harden thing. My goat, Jaden Ivey, was just traded to the Bulls. Good for him. I mean, I'm going to see how him and I wonder how him and Giddey will work, but he needed a new start. That Detroit team is catered around Cade. So, thoughts on Boston as far as what they're playing? What's crazy about the Celtics? I was probably one of the few people that were like, I don't think they're gonna be like a lottery team. Like everyone's like, oh, they're gonna be lottery. They lost Porzingis. They lost Holford. They obviously Jason Tatum's out for the year. I was like, I still think they're a good basketball team. Jaylen Brown's still there. Derek White's still there. Peyton Pritchard's going to have a bigger role. I think they're going to be good. Did I think they would be, tied with my Knicks, for as the 2 seed? No, but I think they were going to still be a top 6 seed, and they're playing for the most part, they're playing good basketball. They won I think 7 of the last 10, so they played good ball. Jaylen Brown's going to be an All NBA guy. He might be All NBA first team. He's getting his respect, his love. So Bulls forever superior to the Knicks. You got championships over us. I can't deny that. It's been a struggle since Jordan left, but Harden to Cleveland. We'll see. Do you think the Knicks going to trade for Giannis? If you asked me this just like last week, I would have said the Knicks are the team to get him. But now I don't think so. I think it's way too difficult. Even if you wait till the offseason and now you can trade an extra first-round pick, you can trade like the 31 or 33 pick, something like that for the Knicks. I just don't know if you go that way. That's tough, man. That's real tough. So the Knicks are going to have to get a third team involved that has the draft picks. So what up, Knicks fan? Yep, fellow Knicks fan. But yeah, there's a lot going on in the association. A lot going on. Both got Jaden Ivey cheap. And I hope more teams do that. Get players like Jaden Ivey that are kind of in a bad situation, but their talent's there, and take a chance on them. I think more teams need to do that. More teams need to do that. listen, James Harden is a perfect example for that guy who was kind of miscast as a 6-man with OKC. He goes to the Rockets and he becomes an MVP. You know, Tracy McGrady, another, there's a lot of instances where guys are in that, that those type of players are just in a bad situation or not an ideal situation, and you just got to find those players and then they can excel. Do you feel like y'all going to pursue Giannis? I think they're going to pursue. I just don't think they'll come away with him. Do you think Cat will still be here after the deadline? Yes. I don't think the Knicks are going to trade for Giannis. I think it's going to be too difficult. Knicks going to win tonight? Yes. I'm also on YouTube. Go on over to YouTube. Give me a sub. Off the Ball podcast. Big news, big trade. Jaren Jackson Jr. traded to the Utah Jazz, and then we got some other big news with some other trades. So it's Giannis to Miami. No, that could be for you. So yeah, a lot going on in the association. I hope I like Jaden Ivey a lot, so I hope he thrives in Chicago. I hope he does good things. Obviously, I wonder what they're gonna do with White, because now they got a little bit of a this guy's saying he went to the Knicks. Yeah, no, trust me, if he went to the Knicks, that would be I got the sham alerts on standby. That's automatic. So yeah, he's not a Knick. Darren Peterson is goated. Yeah, but he's always you don't like finishing games though, Tristan. You don't like finishing games. Need him to play games. Need him to want to play basketball. If Shan didn't say he ain't get exactly, yeah, man, yeah. And like I said, I have their alert where it notifies you right away if someone got it. Do you parlay? I haven't bet in like a couple months. I was on a downswing boat betting, so I took some time off. But y'all finna get Giannis? Nah, I don't think the Knicks are gonna get Giannis. See, last week, yeah. If you told me last week, I was on my pod. I said last week he'll be a Knick, but I don't think so anymore. I think Giannis ends up in the Warriors. I think they go all in again, and they could do a straight up trade where other teams like Minnesota, they got to kind of get a third team involved, and that gets kind of messy. I think the Knicks. I think he ends up in Golden State. Yeah, I don't know if you want to worry about get to. I really think Giannis is going to end up Golden State. Yeah, they have the assets. Players wise. They have the draft capital, and I think if you're the Bucks, you want the Golden State picks because they could. Because Giannis has been dealt with injuries. He's 30. You got Curry, who's 37, 38. In a few years, those picks could be really valuable. Brunson and Giannis would be must see, but I think he ends up in the Warriors. Yeah, I agree with you, Freddie. I agree. I mean, I think it would work in New York, but I don't see it happening. I mean, the Bridges trade really, I think, hindered that. Once we traded those picks, that really was going to be tough for us to make any type of deal like this, and it's obviously just too difficult. And they tried to get them before in the offseason. They didn't budge. It's going to be even harder now. And I don't think there's other teams who got better offers. What's up, guys? I'm also, like I said, if you're on YouTube, I'm on TikTok. If you're on TikTok, I'm on YouTube. Make sure to give me a sub, give me a follow. A lot of stuff going on right now in the association. If Giannis is out, I like the Celtics to grab Miles Turner. I don't know what the trade would be. I can see Milwaukee trying to flip Miles Turner. I can see that. I hope Curry plays the 41 to show he's better than LeBron. The LeBron debates, that's a whole nother thing. It is what it is. Because the trade deadline is Thursday, usually in the afternoon, right? Just got an alert. Warriors are including Draymond Green in trade talks. So Draymond is in trade talks. Miles Turner, yeah, Freddie. I just think they were desperate. Man. Miles Turner, they just wanted to do everything. They're doing everything possible to keep Giannis, and it was an irrational move. It was just like, all right, let's see if this works. Because obviously they lost Brook Lopez to the Clippers. They were like, let's try it. I don't know why they did it. They would think it was a waste. They should have just tried to punt and try to trade Giannis in the offseason, but Knicks losing to the Wizards tonight, guaranteed. So yeah, a lot of stuff happening. I expect as we obviously the trade deadline being Thursday, we're gonna get a lot of stuff going on. Another alert: Memphis continuing to entertain offers around John Morant. The Ja stuff is going to be interesting. I don't know where he goes. I really don't know where he goes. But the question now, what now for the Memphis Grizzlies? Like, what do the Grizzlies do? And I think it's like I mentioned before. I think it's a true rebuild now. They got a plethora of picks. If they trade Ja, they'll probably get another pick or two, possibly. So it's all full rebuild. Let's see, Dylan. What up, Dylan? Would it be all interested in Ja? No, Dylan, what are you doing? I'm about to block you. Why would the Knicks do a Ja for Brunson trade? You want to get worse, dog? Nah, we're not trading. Come on, Dylan. You're better than that, dog. You're better than that. Let's get someone up in the chat. No way. I would never do that.
Wait, so besides the protected first round swap pick, what do the Timberwolves get?
The Timberwolves, they got the protected pick. They got salary dump. Because they're in the I think they're close to a second apron, so they needed some relief. So I think that's why they pulled the move. They made that trade to get off of. I think Conley was making around like $11-12 million. I don't know exactly the numbers, but it was around there. So they get off that. They needed that because they're capped out big time. Like they got. And they got to sign Anthony Edwards too soon too, So they have to make room. Obviously Gobert, McDaniels. They got a lot of guys with high salaries, and they were there, so they need to get some cap relief big time. So I think that was just a straight cap relief move.
Wait, so you think Mike Conley gonna make less than what he was making?
No, they just needed to get off the Mike Conley contract because it was just they're in the tax, and I just think they needed to get off that money so they can have some relief.
Okay.
So yeah, I think that's why they did it. And they don't have picks either, but all they have is swaps too. So, but I think they're fine with giving up draft picks if it means getting some salary off their books.
I mean, it's my son Bones Highland gonna get minutes now.
Bones are good. I mean, it's going to be who's the dude they drafted a few years back, Dillingham. Like it's going to be going to be their time. It's going to if it doesn't happen now, then when, So it's an opportunity for them to do their thing,
because when Ant was injured, Bones Highland was the one playing.
Yeah, Bones Highland was getting the minutes, and They got to figure out their point guard situation because that's going to be the reason why they won't be get back to where they've been the last 2 years, and that's been the conference finals.
That's the issue with like young dudes that are quote unquote like that got bags, smaller guards like that. So quote unquote got bags. Like it's hard to put them in the system when your main scorer is going to be Anthony Edwards, and then you also have Julius Randle. It's gonna be hard to fit them guys in with them dudes. Like, I don't see how that works. I mean, unless Bones Highland can play off ball.
Start spreading the news.
We interrupt our program to bring you this important message.
New York, I love you. I love New York.